Hello, Dijon here. In the TV and film portion of episode 129 of the Mustardcast, we discuss new details about the live action God of War series, the Spider Man Brand New Day suit reveal, the Peacemaker Season 2 trailer, the Avatar Fire and Ash trailer, and give our spoiler free review of the Fantastic Four First Steps. Yeah, moving on to TV and film. As usual, we'll start with movies and TV shows we've been watching. So, Christian, what have you been watching in the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, overall, it's just been a bit more television. Um, the show that I started a rewatch with my girlfriend is Insecure, and Insecure is just kind of one of those shows that just was very principled for me, and I feel like a lot of other folks my age in regards to just getting into television and just being black writers and young black filmmakers wanting to get into television. Insecure is just a very monumental show. And I watched it when I was in high school and I just appreciated it as a show. But being around the age of the characters and just a lot of things hitting close to home or just a lot of the themes ringing harder, it really made watching that pilot hit different. Like it just really resonated. So yeah, just kind of started rewatching that a bit. Um, yeah. Other than that, after a long process, I finally finished Mickey 17. Um, and it's kind of like part of me feels like there's factions. It's like you have the people that love all of Bong Joon Ho's movies, then you have the people that love like his American stuff, or like the people that solely love his Korean stuff. I really mess with Mickey 17. My favorite joint by him is probably Memories of Murder. That's probably still one of my favorites. Um, but I feel like Mickey 17 still fits within his filmography, and it's still a solid film. Um, is it a high point? I feel like people could debate that, but I do think it's a just a well made piece of satire. And even if the falls flat for folks, I think that visually is interesting, and that some of the just creature design, some of the ship design and architecture is very cool. So yeah, finally finished that film, and yeah, overall that's it. Yeah, that's kind of been the main stuff that I've really watched. Oh, wait a minute. At work, we watched a couple more films,
Mhm.
and it's just been rewatching. So we watched Aladdin,
I saw that.
um, and yeah, and yeah, Aladdin still holds up. Songs still hit. Um, the themes are still like that idea of like just be yourself, even though it's kind of cliche. It's still a great film, still a good character film. And then The Prince of Egypt is a masterpiece. Um, watched The Prince of Egypt
I don't think I've
yesterday
ever seen that
and
movie
or
all the way
today.
through.
It You could pause any frame of that film and it is just like it's a painting. It's everything about it is just a great period piece film. Yeah, Prince of Egypt is incredible. So
That's
rewatched
DreamWorks,
that
isn't it?
again. Yeah, it's DreamWorks.
They
It was
need,
when they was in their 2D
yeah,
bag.
they need to get back into
Yeah,
their 2D bag.
they do. It was just something. It was something different about what they were doing with 2D and mixing it with like CGI, but in a clever way. Like it was very cool what they were doing. It was like El Dorado, Prince of Egypt, Spirit, like all of those joints. Like they were really doing their thing. So yeah, overall in regards to stuff that I've watched recently, that's really been it. But what about you?
For me, I haven't watched too much live action stuff lately. Mostly watch cartoons, but I did finish up season 4 of The Bear. Um, and yeah, that show's great. That show's so good. this season in particular has been very cathartic in comparison to previous seasons. And the various cast of characters this season, they learn a lot and grow a lot after a lot of the mess that happens in the first three, and that's very fun to
Mm.
watch. But just speaking on the platforms that the Bear can be found on, Hulu is officially merging with Disney Plus, as in Hulu will cease to exist
Oh,
uh, by the end of 2026 because yeah, I mean, this has just been in the works for a while now. Ever since they started testing the Hulu and Disney Plus feature, where you could access Hulu through Disney Plus. The moment that popped up, I was like, "Oh, it's up for Hulu. Hulu's about to be gone." Which on one hand, it's like
yeah,
you can't like it's hard to be mad about it because it's like okay, one less streaming service. That's that's not really a bad thing necessarily. But it also depends on if they increase like Plus's price to match it or something. Like right now, I have the bundle with Hulu,
right.
Disney Plus, and HBO Max, and I can only assume that like HBO and Disney bundles still can exist even once they merge with Hulu. Um, but like to be convenient to just have everything on Disney Plus to start and not even have to think about using Hulu. But also,
Right.
if the price doesn't increase, that would also be great. Of course, the price is going to increase at some point, but hopefully, it's not like some big major increase once they merge, and
Right.
that'll
And
just be more
hopefully it's
convenient.
not a Warner Brothers Discovery. Right. Yeah, and like hopefully it's not a Warner Brothers Discovery situation, and like the cartoon, like I don't think they'll
Yeah, I
do
don't
that.
think Disney is going
I
to
hope.
make that same mistake because I don't think Disney recognizes the importance of their cartoons, even if they want to keep making unnecessary live action remakes of them. They still recognize that like their cartoons are important. They also Disney isn't really in the business of licensing out their properties very much.
Yeah,
Like they
true.
have a streaming service that has everything that they ever made, plus everything Fox has ever made now that they own them. So it's like, why would they be stupid enough to hand that over to other streaming services when they can instead keep it all to themselves and get people to give people a reason to purchase theirs, which is what HBO should be doing. But
Right.
WB is being hit up by an idiot who only cares about the bottom line and not about making actually good content and something that will
Yeah.
be sustainable. So like yeah,
Right.
WB is being real weird right now. Um, yeah, I also watch the Fantastic Four First Steps twice. But I'll talk about that towards the end. I did
Mm.
give my own little solo review of it in the last episode. Um, but later on we can talk about it a bit more. You could you know kind of ask your questions, whatever you want to know about the movie, spoiler free. But moving on to some TV and film news. Amazon's God of War show will retain the tone of the 2018 reboot series, but may also reference the older Greek saga. This is coming from Victoria Philip Kennedy at Eurogamer. Speaking with Collider at San Diego Comic Con, series showrunner and former Battlestar Galactica executive producer Ronald D. Moore confirmed Amazon's God of War adaptation will remain largely faithful to Sony Santa Monica's 2018 game, though it won't be a frame by frame remake. So it seems like they're taking the Last of Us approach, where they're gonna try to adapt it best they
Okay.
can, but they're gonna make changes where necessary. And how much did you know about this adaptation in general? Did you know it was even happening, or have you like kept up with it in any way?
Yeah. I heard about it vaguely, especially when like PlayStation Studios was really getting into the swing of things, like with announcing Uncharted. Of course, like The Last of Us has been in production hell forever, but when they were really starting that recent push with PlayStation Studios, I heard about God of War and the potentiality of existing for a bit, but I didn't know that it was like really getting off the ground anytime soon.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
I didn't really know that. Yeah.
yeah. Ronald D. Moore said This world and this universe are really rich and it's interesting, and it's really been fun to adapt. More explained, it's an adaptation, so it's an adaptation slash interpretation as you go into live action. And it's been really fun to sort of go, wow, there's a lot here we can play with. Okay, we want to keep the story, we want to keep the characters and the spirit of it. There's all this stuff that we can keep turning for inspiration or turning to for inspiration. And he also adds that the game director, Corey Barlog, is actively involved with the project. With more calling Balrog,
Okay.
um, who also helmed the sequel, Ragnarok, a genius. So, it's always great when the people involved with making the game is actively, working on the adaptation. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, for me, they talk about in this article as well how there will be, some references to the older games, the first five. And, I don't expect them to go super deep. Like maybe they have a whole episode dedicated to it or something. I don't know. But I hope the
Hmm.
door is still open for them to potentially do a 2D adaptation of those original games because that's what I want the most. And
Yeah.
specifically, I want it to be directed and written by Zack Snyder. Now I know that sounds weird, but hear me out. And it's not just because of his
I
work
don't think that's I
on
don't think that's
300.
weird.
It's not because of his work on 300 at all. That actually didn't even cross my mind until I was taking notes for the podcast. The reason I say that is because Zack Snyder
Hmm.
directed and wrote an animated series based on Norse myth called Twilight of the Gods for Netflix, and it was awesome. The art style reminded me of Samurai Jack and Genndy Tartakovsky, who created Samurai Jack in Dexter's Lab, and it the Twilight of the Gods made me realize that Zack Snyder's ideas are best realized in animation because seeing the concept
Yeah.
art for Rebel Moon made me go, why the hell wasn't Rebel Moon animated? Because that concept art looks so good and it just makes me go, this would look so much better in animation. Because I feel like he can, like a lot of the
Hmm.
lofty ideas he has can be achieved through animation a lot better than live action. And also just sometimes animation, really good animation especially, can really elevate uh, a mediocre story if it has some solid ideas. And you said last episode
Yeah.
that you believe that Zack Snyder is our generation's George Lucas. I want you to expand on that.
Yeah. Um, in regards to that concept, George Lucas is a great visual storyteller. Like he's great at visual storytelling, like narrative beats and nailing it. Like he's great with the camera. Um, Even though like he's George Lucas did other stuff, like he did like that one coming of age film American Graffiti before the film that changed everything. He just done a lot of interesting stuff, but I feel like he's a very visual guy.
And recently,
However,
I don't remember where I saw the article, but
so
like
good.
uh, he's never liked directing. Like that's never been his thing. He didn't want to direct. He didn't want to direct the prequels. He wanted someone else to do it, but nobody wanted to touch Star Wars with a 10-foot pole. So he was forced to do it himself.
Hmm.
And if it was up to him, somebody else would have directed it, and he would just
Yeah.
wrote and like supervised.
Hmm.
Because I think he also
Which like
recognizes that he's more of an ideas guy than he is a director.
yes, right. And that's how I kind of feel about Zack Snyder. Like when I think about Man of Steel, like when I think about 300, like when I think about a lot of the films that he's done, the thing that I've enjoyed the most about his films that he's written or directed or worked on in that capacity is the visuals. Like he's a great visual director. A lot of people have a lot of different thoughts on Sucker Punch, but Sucker Punch looks cool.
Yeah,
Like he's has a lot of cool visual ideas, even with the Watchmen film. Like even though Moore hates every adaptation of everything ever,
except for
like I feel
one.
like Watchmen. Wait, what's up?
I say except for one episode of Justice League Unlimited.
Hmm. Yeah, like he like I feel like Snyder is great at having cool visual concepts and just has some of the shots in Man of Steel are beautiful. Like it's some very great just shot composition and visual ideas. And I feel like George Lucas kind of fits in that same cloth where it's like visually there's so much just narrative rich stuff, but dialogue is not their strong suits. Like like Red Letter Media, like one of them made the argument that like the best Star Wars films are the ones that he didn't direct, or the ones that like Empire Strikes Back. People unanimously agree for the most part that that's the best Star Wars movie, or at least the best film of the original trilogy. And
I'm more
George
of a
Lucas was
Return
in
of the
more of a
Jedi guy
production role,
myself.
right? Like a lot of them, like he's a very great, just like broad strokes guy, and I feel like Zack Snyder is a great broad strokes guy too, and is just very good at conveying visual ideas. So, yeah, in regards to the modern era, I feel like Zack Snyder kind of fits that archetype of just like a very great visual director, but dialogue is just not their thing, which is okay. I don't think dialogue should be everybody's thing. Like I like the Bad Boys movies. Like dialogue shouldn't be everybody's thing, but yeah, in regards to that like comparison, that's what I mean for the most part. Not like, of course, George Lucas made Star Wars, but yeah, I do think that they're both visual directors who are great at telling stories in broad strokes, but when it gets into the nitty gritty, their films kind of fall apart to an extent. Um, like even Episode 6, visually that film is cool, and there's a lot of great broad strokes in that film. Some of the dialogue, it just it depends, but yeah,
You know, that's my
that's
favorite Star
my
Wars movie you're talking
that's
about.
no, and I 6 is cool. 6 is very very cool. That film is hard, and it's just so much cool visual concepts and ideas. But yeah, that's my TED talk on how Zack Snyder is kind of our George Lucas to an extent.
Yeah, that's very understandable. I think it's why he works so well
But
in animation because, like you said, he's a good visuals guy.
right, and I think that Zack Snyder doing a 2D God of War series would be cool. Um, because of everything you're saying, like he did Owls of Gahul. Like he's very good at visual, like animated stuff, and I think he should get into that bag more. Um, again, like Sucker Punch. Again, Sucker Punch could work as a animated 2D film.
Yeah,
Like a lot of that stuff could work in that regard. So yeah.
yeah.
Um,
So,
in regards to the series, yeah,
oh
sorry,
yeah,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
With the series, I'm interested in seeing what it will be. Um, I, I'm not ready for the discourse in this show, and it's like they're gonna make Kratos soft. Like I'm not ready for that. But
I mean, for a lot of people,
I'm
it'll be
interested.
their only experience with Kratos, so they won't know what he was like before to even know if he was soft. Of course, there will be the people who've never played a God of War game in their life, pretending like they have and that they know what they're talking about. Like always with everything,
Right?
people who know nothing like
Always.
to pretend like they
Yeah.
know what they're talking about for the sake of being a bigot.
Exactly. And I'm interested in the casting and how they're gonna
Yeah,
go that route. Uh, especially because Kratos was voiced by two black men. So
TC
it's like,
Carson, not
what
Christopher
route are they gonna
Judge.
go with?
Which, like, again, also,
Exactly.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I guess if you do live action and then you do animation, you would probably bring the whoever plays him in live action to voice him in that animated adaptation if it's directly connected. But in my mind, I'm like, just bring
Uh-huh.
back TC Carson. I
That
want
would be cool.
I want another God of War thing with TC Carson so bad. I need them to remake the first God of War game just so they can bring back TC Carson. And if they were to remake
And I feel like they
the
tease it.
first God of War game and have Christopher Judge voice Kratos, I would riot. I would burn
Yeah.
Sony Santa Monica down. If you remake God of War, you bring back TC Carson.
Understandably, yeah. They, yeah. I would join you. And they're I feel like they're teasing something like that because they just did that press conference and TC Carson was there, like talking with them.
Mm,
So it's like it seems like the relationship is positive there. They could do that,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
also it's old. Like I feel like the old trilogy needs a refresh.
Mm. But yeah, moving on to the Spider-Man Brand New Day suit reveal. So they revealed Spider-Man suit officially on the Marvel, social channels and YouTube, and everywhere they could, and it looks good. When I initially saw it, I was like, oh yeah, it looks good, but it's not my favorite. But after seeing it more
Mhm.
and seeing a bunch of behind the scenes photo, I'm like, okay, this might be the best live action Spider-Man suit. It's really good. The only thing holding it back for me is the spider on the back specifically. Something that the first suit that Tom Holland's Spider-Man wore did that no other Spider-Man suit in live action before him did was that the back spider was different from the front spider. Um, and it looked like how it does in the comics, and especially in original comics, where it's this fat circular spider with these like rectangular legs. And I prefer that look for the back spider versus the back spider just looking exactly like the front spider. But other than that, it's a great looking suit. What did you think of it?
I think it looks good too. Um, I like the colors. I like that it's very traditional to an extent, even down to the webbing on the suit. Like it's a very traditional Spider-Man suit. My favorite suit for the longest time was the Amazing Spider-Man 2 suit, and I feel like they did a good job of capturing just classic Spider-Man. It doesn't fit within the normal MCU design language of like we are making everyone in the military. It doesn't do that, and it's just a very traditional vigilante Spider-Man suit. So I really do like that aspect of it. Yeah,
Yeah,
I really like the coloring of it. Like it's just a nicely colored suit, and the red and the blue really pops. Yeah, I mess with it. Even the way that the web shooters seem to look, I think it looks cool.
yeah. I like when the web shooters are visible and that they're big and silver. I wish they wrapped around his entire
Yeah,
wrist, but you know, as long as they're
hmm,
visible and silver, I like it.
that would be
Um,
true. Right. Yeah.
but yeah, there was also some like behind the scene, not even behind the scene, but just people taking videos of them filming, and they are doing practical swinging off of cranes that are driving down the street. And it looks awesome. And I'm really excited to see if they actually use those shots and don't just replace them with CGI. But the movie is being directed by Destin Daniel Cretton, who directed Shang-Chi. So I expect some good action.
Oh, okay.
Um, it's also rumored that Punisher and the Hulk will appear in this movie. Um, but this movie is also supposedly going to be more grounded and street level, and I really hope that is true and is the case. And I'm curious if it'll cross over with Daredevil in any way, with the a lot of stuff that happened with the Kingpin in the first season of Daredevil Born Again. So yeah, I'm very curious to see how they're gonna handle all of that. But something that I really hope they do is make Zendaya's Michelle Jones into the actual Mary Jane Watson, because otherwise she would be one of the most wasted castings in all of comic book movie history.
Yeah.
Because in real life, Zendaya is basically Mary Jane. She's an actress and a model, just like Mary Jane is in the comics. And I really hope that
Yeah.
they just turn her into Mary Jane straight up. My hope is that, like at some point, because they're in college currently, the characters, that she just decides to pursue acting and maybe not fully drop science and still study that as a backup plan, but she decides to start pursuing acting and takes up the stage name Mary Jane Watson, and that's how we get Zendaya's Mary Jane now. And she dyes her hair red or wears a red wig or something. Like, make her Mary Jane. There's no reason not to.
Yeah.
She's so perfect as like for Mary Jane. They have her playing this completely different character. It was such an odd decision on their part. And I hope that they
Um,
recognize that, because I feel like it's also a case of, I think when she first started playing um, Michelle, or MJ, they call her in movies. When she first started playing MJ,
mhm.
I don't think she necessarily had that um, perception that she does now, as this very like considered like one of the most beautiful women on the face of the planet Earth, and she's just actress and model that everybody loves. But now that she has that perception, I hope that they
Right.
recognize, oh, we should have her actually be Mary Jane now, not off-brand MJ.
That could be that could be interesting, and I feel like that would be a cool way of like evolving the character and conveying a passage of time as well. Cause yeah, I mean Zendaya is a very versatile performer, and they just kind of reduce it to like, I feel like No Way Home they characterize her like, and over the past few films they characterized her a bit better, but she was just kind of like shy counterculture character,
Yeah,
and it's, at sometimes it would ring a bit shallow. Um, so I feel like yeah, it'd be cool if they like really fleshed out MJ and made her to an extent what she was like in the comics to an extent, and breathe some new life into it. That would be pretty cool. And yeah, in regards to everything you're saying about the story being grounded, that's what I hope for. Because I just want it to be a New York film.
yeah,
Like I want it to be a New York movie. It takes place in New York, takes place on a block, like it takes place on the block, and it's just about kind of like heroes for hire type vibe. Like that's what I would want it to be. Just a grounded New York story.
yeah,
Um, because I feel like those are the best Spider-Man stories, regardless of the author, who's like for everyone, whether it's Bendis, Straczynski, or anyone. Like a lot of the best Spider-Man stories are the grounded street level ones. So I really would like it to be like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Also a really interesting idea that I heard somebody come up with is that I, what if we don't get like Mary Jane in this movie until the very end, and instead she like maybe landed some big acting gig, and now her face is like plastered on billboards everywhere. She's like on social ads, and she's in Times Square, and everywhere Peter looks, her face is right there. And he just can't escape her, even though she can't remember him anymore. I just think that would be very interesting, just torturing him like that. Because this man,
Yeah.
people make fun of it, but it's like, yeah, man, I want Peter to suffer. That's when he's at his best. And then from there, he can build up to have a good life. But first, I need him to suffer. He's got to suffer first.
that, that every Spider-Man writer is just like, how can we make Peter? How can we just really just make his life the worst?
Yeah,
Um, and I feel like often those are the Spider-Man stories that people loved. Um, People hated One More Day. Like people hated One More Day so much because it's just. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why people hate that comic, but it's like y'all just retconned everything and made everything hunky dory and sunshines and everything. It's like make this man go through something. Um, so yeah, I'm interested in seeing how Peter's gonna grow and see just the narrative beats he's gonna face because he's older.
yeah.
Um, I'm interested in seeing college era Peter.
That's the best era. I'm tired of the infantilization of Spider-Man. Like Peter, his best stories, all the stories that are adapted, come from his teen or his high, or I'm saying all the wrong things. His college years. Um, the the cartoon from the '90s, Peter's in college. Like all of his best stories come from college and beyond. He was only in high school for two real life years in the comics. For like 2 years in the '60s he was in high school, and then he was in college, and that's where we got all the best stories. That's where he met Norman Osborn, or Harry Osborn. That's where he met Gwen Stacy. That's where a lot of like his most iconic stories come from. So let this man be in school. But moving from Marvel to DC, we got a trailer for Peacemaker season 2. And I'm curious, did you watch season 1?
I didn't watch season one.
You should. It's really good. It
Yeah,
was
I did.
surprisingly great. I trust James Gunn, but initially when I saw like they were making a Peacemaker show, I was like, "What?" I think everybody was like, "What? Why?" um,
Is-
I
Yeah,
wanted a Bloodsport spinoff after watching the Suicide Squad more than Peacemaker. So I was very perplexed, but it turned out to be great. And John Cena is incredible as Peacemaker. He's not afraid to play a goofy guy, unlike some wrestlers turned actors. But you know,
I wonder who you're talking about. Yeah,
yeah. It's also a James Gunn joint, so it's just as heartfelt and as it is funny. And
mm,
in season two, it seems like they'll be turning a bit of a glossed over detail from the first season into a major part of the plot, and that's the fact that Peacemaker's father has an interdimensional closet in his house where he like stores all his weapons,
what?
and Peacemaker is using that closet to travel to another universe where he's loved and respected as a hero. And like supposedly he beats up that version of himself and like takes his life. And that may be how they explain how he enters the new DCEU. Because as you saw, he showed
Mm,
up in a little clip in Superman. So
he did.
we know he exists. And also in the first trailer for Peacemaker, we saw Hawkgirl, Green Lantern, and Maxwell Lord, played by James Gunn's
Right,
brother, which I don't know if he. I don't know how I feel about that casting. We'll have to see. But
right.
yeah, the Peacemaker season two looks like it'll be fun. You should definitely check out season one. It's great. Next we have the first trailer for Avatar: Fire and Ash. Lo and behold, I'm sitting in the theaters to watch Fantastic Four, and then this trailer starts playing, and I was confused. I was like, "What's happening?" and yeah, that the trailer, like, this is what they just they debuted the trailer in theaters before Fantastic Four. It was the last trailer before the movie started, and I personally have been a fan
Mm,
of James Cameron's Avatar my whole life. When did that first movie come out? 2008, 2009.
yeah,
Um, and The Way of Water blew the first movie out of the water, pun completely intended, and it was incredible. Especially to watch it in theaters with my dad, and my brothers. It's just a visual spectacle. And the second movie especially had a much tighter story in comparison to the first. Um, but I have always been an aspect of the story I've always been a fan of is the environmentalist aspect, and I do appreciate there just being a $1 billion movie that is about environmentalism, and the fact that James Cameron
mhm,
is very passionate about that, and he actually, from my understanding, had to actually fight to have that story be told, and that like some higher ups were like against that. The weakest part of that first movie, in terms of the story, is definitely the white savior aspect of it. That's really weird, but they toned that down a lot in the second one,
right.
and hopefully even more in the third
Mm,
one, because it's not non-existent in the second one, but it's definitely not as uh, overt. And hopefully, as we get build up towards a fifth movie, which, as much as I like these movies, I don't know if we needed five of these movies. I think a trilogy would have been fine, James. But he plans on making five. Um, and yeah, what are your thoughts on the Avatar franchise as it is now? Or I guess it has been because that movie came out 2008 or nine.
right. Yeah.
It's crazy to think how old
Um,
those movies are. Those movies have been around for almost 20 years.
yeah, it's crazy. And I mean, just crazy to think about how long it took for Way of Water to even come out. Um, I'm like vaguely familiar with the first one. It's kind of one of those films that was always kind of in the background for me. Um, I mean, of course, visually, it's just like it's a breakthrough. It's a breakthrough film visually. A lot of James Cameron films are, and I feel like Avatar kind of fits that bill. Um,
Imagine
yeah, like I
making
don't have is
the highest grossing movie of all time twice, three times.
right. Yeah. No, yeah, that I didn't even think about that. Yeah, he did it three times. And yeah, just James Cameron is very just good at spectacle at a big, massive level. So yeah, with first Avatar, yeah, I don't have a super deep relationship with it, but being fascinated with visual effects and just everything that Weta did in motion capture, like it really intrigued me at the time. And yeah, I followed everything Weta did ever since. And even up to, like, of course, like for me in 2011 it was Tintin. Like all of the mocap work that Weta was doing was very cool. So yeah, I didn't watch Way of Water. Um, but again, visually it looked very cool. But yeah, with Avatar, like everything you're touching on with the white savior aspect and just kind of some of those self-insert, or not self-inserts, but just that aspect of like a white person entering a culture and just kind of integrating themselves and saving the day at the end. It's that can be a tinge tired and problematic, and it is all of those
Yeah,
things. But
100%.
um so yeah, like, yeah, with the first Avatar, like we had it on DVD in the house and stuff. And like I had like kind of attempt to watch it at the time, but my young 8-year-old brain was like, visually this looks cool, but it's a lot of political talk happening. So yeah, like the fact that, I mean, the franchise went away and it came back and it's getting a sequel that fast, I'm intrigued by it.
Yeah. And
So yeah.
yeah, in the trailer itself, we're being introduced to basically the Fire Nation and air nomads of the Navi tribe, since all of them are related to elements in some form or fashion. The ones in the first movie were very like very greenery and nature and earth based, and then second movie, Way of Water, we got some water Navi, which was very fun to explore. And now we're getting these fire based and air based Navi, which is going to be fun to explore. And it seems like Scott Lang's character, who was originally working with the humans, seems like he's joining the Fire Navi, or maybe convincing them to work with the humans in some form or fashion. But yeah, I'm excited for this movie. Comes out later this year, in December. So, but yeah, I'll definitely be watching this in theaters. Probably once, because
Mm.
it's a long ass movie. I don't know if I'm going to watch this more than one time in theaters specifically. The second one, the first one I'd seen 1,000 times because it came out when I was a kid. The second one I only saw twice because, again, long movie. Watched it in theaters and then watched it a second time at home. But yeah, to kind of wrap things up, I want to talk about Fantastic Four First Steps. I gave my very very brief thoughts on it last episode, but to kind of just sum that up, I liked it a lot. For me, it's one of the best MCU movies made in years. It feels like I struggle to say a return to form, but it feels like what Marvel movies should be, So I guess in that way, it is a return to form in my eyes. It's just what I want Marvel movies to be all the time. I want them to be this solid, this good. And part of what makes this movie so solid and so good is that it takes place in an isolated universe. It
Mm.
it and it's not trying to set anything up either. It's not like this movie is trying to be like, okay, it has to set up Secret Wars. There's of course like a single mid credit scene that does do that, but that mid credit scene doesn't feel like it was like a thing that they were trying to build up to the entire time. No, the movie was just focused on the Fantastic Four versus Galactus, and it was awesome. And I this is what I wish that the entire multiverse saga was, and what I think it should have been. It should have been full of movies set in isolated universes like this, and the multiverse was always the perfect excuse for Marvel to tell very siloed stories without the baggage of the main universe. And instead, they decided to keep doing the same
Right.
thing over and over again, and like trying to interject the multiverse into those movies rather than doing what I just said. Um, but because this movie takes place in its own universe, the stakes feel real. Like
Mm.
you don't know what's gonna happen, and I'm not gonna tell you what's gonna happen. But I know I was surprised. And like, yeah, it was a good movie. It was a great
Okay.
movie, and you know, it'll definitely exciting to hear you talk about whenever you get around to seeing it. But yeah, are there any questions you have
Okay.
regarding the film?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I feel like often especially with what you're saying with stakes. Knowing, I feel like the phase schedule, it kind of backfires. Like, I feel like it kind of leaves too much of a window open for the audience to see what's being cooked behind the scenes. And it's like we know a Spider-Man series is coming out, or like a Spider-Man movie is coming out like next year. Spider-Man disintegrating in Infinity War just didn't hit as much. It was still a great scene and it was a great narrative beat, but at the end of the day, because we know so much about what's going on behind the curtain, it's hard to feel any sort of real like narrative weight because we knew that he's coming back. They're not just gonna let Tom Holland go. They were like no way, or not no way home, but blanking up, Far From Home.
Yeah.
Far From Home was coming out regardless that year. So yeah, I feel like phasing things and like being very transparent in regards to movies, like we're executives, it just kind of ruins the relationship to the art to an extent. So yeah, the fact that the film had stakes and it's the fact that it's self-contained is cool. So yeah, just kind of wanted to ask what with them putting the Fantastic Four in Secret Wars, do you think that that would step on what they tried to do with this film, or do you think that it would enhance it in any way?
So, knowing what I know about the Secret Wars comics, even though I haven't gotten around to reading them myself, that I guess spoiler alert for those comics. For those of you who don't read it, and but I guess potential spoiler for the movies. I don't know a lot of specifics, so I'm not like saying any specific spoilers. But I guess this is kind of the biggest spoiler for that comic. So if you're watching this and you care about that comic, or if you're watching this and maybe this fact may spoil the movie for you, maybe don't watch this. But and if you don't care, or if you already know about what happens in the Secret Wars comic, before I say what I'm about to say, do you mind?
I do not mind.
Yeah. So like at the end of that comic, it's you know a soft reboot kind of. And they bring in that comic is how they bring Miles Morales from the Ultimate Universe into the main universe.
Mhm.
So I imagine they're going to do something like that here. And then use Secret Wars, and I think Doomsday is the first movie, and the Secret Wars is the second one. They're going to use those movies to bring the Fantastic Four universe into the main universe somehow, some way. And this is going to be a bit of a soft reboot
Mm.
where they can kind of like reset and restart and do things a little bit new, a little bit different. Which is funny because I think the like what they called the comics that came out after Secret Wars were all new, all different. So I wouldn't be surprised if they literally use that exact same language after Secret Wars.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited um, for the universe after like post Secret Wars. I can't say I'm particularly excited for either Doomsday or Secret Wars. I can't say I'm not excited because of course I am, because the last two Avengers big crossover movies we had were awesome, and I'm hoping this is the same, even though we don't have the same build up to it because the movies have been lackluster over the years. But I still,
Right.
want to hope that they still manage to cobble together something that's very entertaining at the very least. Um, and that the kind of like creative potential afterwards is great. And that what they do with these two movies results in something awesome afterwards. And I feel like they're setting the Fantastic Four up to be kind of what Iron Man was to the what is it, the first saga of the MCU, the Infinity Saga, where they're kind of
Mm.
they might be like the linchpins, like main heroes that kind of like lead a lot of the major events, which I think could be really fun to have a group of characters that uh, Disney and Marvel very purposefully tanked in popularity because they wanted to buy the rights back from Fox and wanted the value to go down, and then ultimately just end up buying Fox as a whole, which is insane. They did the same thing. They did it for both Fantastic Four and X-Men. So
Yeah.
the Fantastic Four used to be like one of the four pillars of the Marvel Cinematic or Marvel Universe period, alongside Spider-Man, the Hulk, and the X-Men. But they hadn't been seen as that for in a very long time, and now it's kind of returned to form. It's actually kind of insane. When you realize just you're starting we're starting to relearn how popular Fantastic Four used to be with this movie, and how much people enjoy this movie, and how much
which
people
is
were excited for this movie.
which is interesting how things cycle
Same thing with Superman.
because yeah, like and when we were younger, films that were like really getting made the most, like in that redacted director's name, for the Fox stuff, like the X-Men films are being made, and then you got the Tim Story Fantastic Four films, and then Spider-Man was being made, and then you have films like every now and then like Ang Lee's Hulk. Like you had a lot of those films being made for those characters and pillar characters, and then yeah, Marvel Studios or Buena Vista at the time, they were just like, we are going to cobble up whatever we have, whatever characters we have access to. We are going to try to make something cool, and then we got Iron Man, and like Iron Man, like don't want to like do revisionist history or anything like that, but Iron Man was just never a Spider-Man level character in
Yeah,
regards to
he wasn't.
popularity.
He
Like
really wasn't.
he just wasn't.
And
He just
neither
wasn't that big of a
and
character.
neither were the Avengers. It's insane that we live in a
Yeah,
world where the Avengers have become more popular than the Justice League. That is insane to me, and it honestly makes me upset. Like the Avengers deserve to have become popular, but I don't like that they're more popular than the Justice League right now. And I think that's going to change when we
yeah,
get a Justice League movie, because I think that honestly, I don't think it can be denied, and really, it's kind of not fair because a lot of these characters existed, have an additional 20 years history, you know, above a lot of Marvel characters, because a lot of the most famous Marvel characters,
right,
other than Captain America, came from the 60s, whereas a lot of the most famous
right,
DC characters came from the late 30s and the 40s. So they got 20 years on them,
right.
but because of that, they're more iconic. Aquaman's more iconic than
Right.
Iron Man, like in reality, like for a long time at least.
Oh no, for sure.
Now that's not
Yes.
necessarily true anymore, but I think it could be true again. With the right power. It's insane to say, but yeah, Aquaman was more iconic than Iron Man for a very long time. Um, and
It's true.
and I think even today
Like people cared. Yeah.
it's not even crazy to say, even though it's almost been 20 years since that first Iron Man movie. It's not crazy to say that
Crazy.
characters like Green Lantern and Flash are overall more iconic than someone like Iron Man, who has now become a very much household name. And the moment we get some good stories with
Right.
these characters, which hopefully that Green Lantern show is good, um and very comic book accurate in a lot of ways, um we're going to start seeing that happen again, see these DC characters make a comeback. But that's also what's happening with the Fantastic Four. These iconic characters are starting
Hmm.
to be made iconic again. Like they
Right.
also used to be
Uh,
way more popular than Iron Man.
way, 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 way more. Yeah. Like they had. I mean, they were trying to get Fantastic Four movies off the ground since the '80s. Like they were popular characters. Um. Yeah. Like they were just a popular. They were a popular team, and now it's funny that like a lot of the characters that people would consider Marvel B and C list were more popular than one of the pillar characters of the entire like comic, just like entire in the entire bibliography of Marvel. The fact that they kind of faded out of existence, kind of it's interesting how things have just ebbed and flowed over time in regards to certain characters. Because yeah,
Yeah, even before
the
the
fact that
X-Men, like the Fantastic Four,
yeah,
they used to be Marvel's premier team over the X-Men, over the Avengers.
mhm,
Like the X-Men didn't start to become popular until the 80s with giant sized X-Men, or the 70s, I should say. But, for like a decade before that, Fantastic Four were pretty popular.
and now it's like we're trying to get the iconic characters uh, back to the same level of Iron Man, Thor, and Black Widow and Hawkeye. It's just a very interesting timeline. Very interesting timeline for superhero films. Um, so yeah,
Yeah,
I think it's
Hawkeye
cool that
being more
the
popular
Fantastic
than Green Arrow. Crazy work. But
crazy.
But also, I feel like he hasn't even been 100% done like the most justice Hawkeye. And I think it's not gonna like I
He
love
hasn't.
Hawkeye and I think he deserves way more respect. And just better movies and shows in general. But one Green Arrow movie is gonna blow that Hawkeye show out the water.